dedicated to eastern and southern Kentucky. This is WYNT Mountain News First at 4.
Good afternoon, I'm Steve Huntley. First at 4, a family in mourning is asking for the man wanted in connection to their father's death to come forward. In the meantime, a county prosecutor builds his case while police search for the man. WYNT's Will Puckett is in the newsroom with more. Will?
J.D. Hacker was hit while driving near the Clay-Leslie County line on April 8th and died 2 days later. Police say the man who hit him, 37-year-old Alfred Derrick Francis, was in the hospital as a result of that wreck. Police say Francis was under the influence during the crash. Now he's on the loose. Police and Hacker's family are looking for him. Here is the most recent booking photo of Francis. This one is from 2014 in Perry County. This other one is from 2010 in Clay County. As police search for him, the family of J.D. Hacker plead for him to turn himself in.
If anyone knows of maybe the whereabouts, if they would just keep a eye out, contact the Kentucky State Police, Manchester Police Department, Clay County Sheriff's Department, just anything, that would help them to the leading of their arrest.
Right now, Alfred Francis is wanted on DUI, no insurance, and manslaughter in the second degree, among other charges. Anyone with information is asked to call Kentucky State Police Post 11 in London at 606-878-6622. You can remain anonymous.
All right, Will, in our newsroom, thank you. Well, Francis has been arrested before, including twice in Perry County and at least once in Clay County.
And it was another warm day here in the mountains. We saw plenty of sunshine earlier, but now we are starting to see those clouds increase ahead of the next system that'll be moving into the mountains. You'll notice as we take a look at the National Weather Service camera in Jackson, started out really with those mostly sunny skies, clouds increasing throughout the day. And if you look outside, we're seeing those partly to mostly cloudy skies. Looking over into Whitesburg, looking a little bit cloudy over there as well. Pockets of sunshine at times, but it definitely is starting to see those clouds increase. Much of the same story as we look into satellite and radar. You see those clouds increasing. You see that increasing back to the west as well. And then you see those rain chances increasing a little bit north of Louisville. Now, as we look at those temperatures, they're still very warm outside, those low to mid 80s. So you still have time to get out and enjoy it, especially today is really the last day to get outside and enjoy this nicer weather before those soggy conditions return back to the forecast. Those winds, they've been a little bit brutal today, but at least they've been warm from the southwest, anywhere from 10-15 miles per hour. But I know they've been gusting up to 20 miles per hour today. So it is just a little bit windy, but it is still feeling pretty good out there. So as we head through the rest of the evening, we'll see a few showers return. Best chances really Thursday into Friday. And does that continue into your Saturday? It's looking like it will. Good news is I think we clear out by the time we get to your Sunday. I'll have that full forecast coming up in just a little bit. Steve.
All right. Thank you, Paige. Attorney General William Barr testified before the Senate Judiciary Committee today about the release of Special Counsel Robert Mueller's Russia report. Some senators and 2020 contenders are calling on him to resign for allegedly misleading the public. CBS's Nicole Killian has the latest from the White House.
That trust America deserves better. You should resign.
Senate Democrats blasted Attorney General William Barr over his 4-page summary of Special Counsel Robert Mueller's Russia report.
I made clear from the beginning that I was putting out the report, as much of the report as I could.
The special counsel found no evidence of collusion between the Trump campaign and the Russians in the 2016 presidential election, but did not make a ruling on whether President Trump obstructed justice, something Barr did.
You, in effect, exonerated or cleared the president. No, I didn't exonerate. I said that we did not believe that there was sufficient evidence to establish an obstruction offense.
Ahead of the hearing, House Democrats published a private letter Mueller sent to the Attorney General back in March, expressing concern that Barr's memo created, quote, public confusion about the investigation.
Bob told me that he did not have objections to the accuracy.
Attorneys don't put things in writing unless they're pretty serious about them.
In previous testimony last month, Barr denied knowing how Mueller felt about his summary.
The question was relating to unidentified members who were expressing frustration over the accuracy relating to findings. I don't know what that refers to at all. I talked directly to Bob Mueller, not members of his team.
I feel your answer
was purposely misleading, and I think others do too.
Barr is scheduled to testify before the House Judiciary Committee Thursday, but his appearance may be in jeopardy due to concerns about the format. Nicole Killian, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Barr also testified he did not feel the president obstructed justice when he instructed his then White House counsel Don McGahn to have Mueller fired. Democrats are asking to hear from McGahn as well as Mueller himself. A vigil is planned today at the University of North Carolina, Charlotte, where police say 22-year-old Tristan Terrell killed 2 people and wounded 4 others. Sophomore Tristan Field, who tells CBS News he was in the classroom, believes the shooter sat with the other students for about 10 minutes before opening fire. He says that as many as 50 students tried to exit through one of the rooms.
It was absolute panic. A chair fell in front of the door, so people were tripping over that, like trying to climb over it. Some people fell down. It was like water through a funnel, but wasn't fast enough.
The student newspaper identified one of the 4 injured as their sports writer, Drew Pescaro, who they say is out of surgery and is in stable condition. Law enforcement was nearby preparing for an on-campus concert when this happened. Now to a developing story in southern Kentucky. A student was hurt and another is in custody after a stabbing at Pulaski County High School. It happened about 1:30 this afternoon as students were changing classes. We are told that a 17-year-old stabbed an 18-year-old. A woman whose grandson attends there tells us that her grandson told her that he and several students then grabbed a hold of the boy with the knife and brought him under control. Police tell us that the 17-year-old suspect is being interviewed and questioned at the sheriff's office and that the victim was taken to the hospital where the condition is unknown. We're still trying to gather information, but police say this was an isolated incident between 2 students and no one else was at risk. Students were kept in their classrooms after it happened, but the school day resumed as normal about 30 to 45 minutes later. We do have a reporter at the scene, and we hope to have much more on this coming up later tonight. No names, by the way, have been released. The United States government says it is closely monitoring the situation in Venezuela as the embattled president and opposition leader both call on supporters to take to the streets. Venezuelans clashed violently after opposition leader Juan Guaido called for a military uprising yesterday, but only a small group of soldiers broke ranks with President Nicolas Maduro. America and 50 other nations recognize Guaido as Venezuela's leader. The U.S. says the Maduro regime is being propped up by Russia and Cuba.
The president's been very clear that he thinks that the foreign military presence in Venezuela needs to leave.
Many blame President Maduro for the country's humanitarian crisis. Violence and hunger are widespread. May Day protests are being held around the world today, and in some cities like Paris, they have turned violent. Police fired tear gas to keep anti-government protesters back as demonstrators packed the streets. Security forces deployed drones to keep an eye on crowds full of activists who joined union workers to reject President Emmanuel Macron's economic policies. Police arrested more than 100 hardline protesters. Child abusers moving state to state can leave troubling past behind and skirt authorities. In some cases, families are blaming the fragmented system for deadly consequences.
And I kept asking them, please let me keep heaven, because I knew heaven would be the one to die. I told the child protection people that.
Sharonda Orridge is the aunt of Heaven Watkins, who was beaten to death after her family moved. She says the nationwide lack of communication between Child Protective Services led to her niece's death. In our investigation, Defenseless, WYMT exposes the consequences of losing track of abusers as they move across state lines. We'll have much more on that at 5:30 right here on WYMT. An Arizona mom says she found dozens of bite marks on her 15-month-old daughter after picking her up from daycare. Alice Martin says her daughter was bitten 25 times on her back, arms, and shoulders, allegedly from another kid at the center. Martin says in February she picked up her daughter from the Creative Beginnings daycare in Tucson. She says her daughter seemed unusually fussy that day. When she gave her a bath, she saw why.
I was taking off her onesie after dinner to give her a bath, and they were just there. It was horrible.
Martin filed a police report and called the Arizona Department of Health Services. In a statement, both agencies say they are investigating. Let's head over to Wall Street now on this Wednesday afternoon. The Dow closes down today more than 162 points. The Food and Drug Administration is strengthening warnings about some commonly used sleep aids. Sleeping pills marketed under the names Lunesta, Sonata, and Ambien will require new black box warnings for potentially dangerous side effects. There are reports of rare but serious injuries and deaths resulting from sleepwalking, sleep driving, and other complex behaviors by people who took the popular drugs. The FDA says 20 deaths are blamed on the pills. Straight ahead on First at 4, a church in Pike County wants to bring new life to the community by building a family life center. Hear from the pastor making it happen.
And our next weather maker will start to move into the mountains tomorrow. We'll break down that full forecast in just a few short minutes.